The human ship arrived at the edge of the Jarketh capital world in silence. It was small compared to the long, sharp alien vessels floating around the planet like silver blades. The human ship looked rounder, softer, almost clumsy. Inside it stood Marcus Hale, adjusting the red coat stretched across his wide body. Marcus was overweight, middle-aged, and breathing slightly heavy as he checked the mirror one last time. The white beard sat crooked on his face, and the red hat leaned to one side. He looked nothing like a warrior or a diplomat. He looked like a joke. That was fine with him. The doors opened, and the escort drones guided him down toward the palace. The Jarketh capital was built from dark crystal and metal, rising into the sky in tall, sharp towers. Everything about the place spoke of control, order, and power. There was no warmth here, no color, no softness. Marcus stepped onto the landing platform, boots echoing against the cold floor. The guards waiting for him were tall, thin, and armored in polished plates. Their faces were long, their eyes glowing faintly blue. They stared at him without hiding their confusion. One of them tilted its head. "This is the human envoy." "Yes," Marcus said calmly. "That's me." The guard said nothing more, but the silence itself felt like laughter. Inside the palace, the main hall opened wide like the mouth of a beast. Alien nobles stood on raised platforms, wrapped in elegant armor and flowing robes. Their posture was perfect. Their expressions were sharp and judging. When Marcus entered, a wave of whispers spread through the room. He heard the sounds clearly. Mocking clicks, amused hisses. Some even laughed openly. The red of his costume stood out painfully against the dark hall. His belly pushed against the coat buttons. His steps were slow, careful. Every eye followed him, not with respect, but with disbelief. At the highest platform sat the ruling council. Among them was Prince Kael Reen, young for his kind but already burdened with heavy responsibility. His armor was lighter than the others, decorated with symbols of future leadership. His face remained calm, but his eyes narrowed when he saw the human. This was Earth's representative? Kael Reen felt heat rise in his chest. Not anger exactly, but embarrassment. The Empire had invited humanity to prove its worth, to show strength, intelligence, and unity. And they had sent this. Marcus stopped at the center of the hall and bowed deeply. It took effort, and his knees protested, but he did it anyway. "I bring greetings from Earth," Marcus said. His voice was warm, steady, and loud enough to reach the far walls. "And wishes of peace, goodwill, and friendship." More laughter followed. One noble stepped forward, tall and sharp-faced. "This is an insult," the noble said. "Is humanity mocking us with this display?" Marcus straightened slowly. "No," he said. "This is not mockery." Another noble circled him, eyes scanning his body. "You wear the costume of a myth. You are soft. You carry no visible weapon. Are humans truly this weak?" Marcus smiled gently. "Sometimes," he said. "Yes." The nobles laughed louder. Prince Kael Reen watched closely. There was no fear in the human's face. No anger. No attempt to defend his pride. That made no sense. Among the Jarketh, weakness was hidden or destroyed. This human displayed it openly. The council leader raised a clawed hand for silence. "Human Marcus Hale," the leader said. "You were invited to present a symbol of your species. Explain this appearance." Marcus took a breath. "On Earth," he said, "there is a tradition, a story, a figure who appears weak, joyful, and foolish to some. He wears red. He gives gifts. He asks for nothing in return." The nobles exchanged confused glances. "This figure is called Santa," Marcus continued. "He represents something important to us. Not power, not fear, but giving. Giving is a tool of control," one noble said. "It creates debt." Marcus nodded. "Sometimes," he said, "but sometimes it creates hope." That word caused another ripple of laughter. Prince Kaelrin leaned forward slightly. If you are here to give, the prince said, then where is your offering? Marcus looked up at him, eyes kind and thoughtful. I brought only one gift, he said. And it is not for the Empire. The hall went silent. The prince stiffened. Then for whom? Marcus reached down and picked up a small, plain box resting at his feet. It was simple, unmarked, and clearly human-made. For you, Marcus said softly. Prince Kaelrin. Whispers exploded across the hall. The council leader rose slightly from his seat. You dare bypass the council? The leader demanded. Marcus bowed his head. I do not bypass, he said. I honor. This gift is personal, not political. Quote, 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 quote. Kaelrin felt every eye turn toward him. His first instinct was to refuse. Accepting a personal gift from a foreign envoy could be seen as weakness, manipulation, or worse, but something in the human's posture stopped him. Marcus was nervous, yes, but not afraid. His hands trembled slightly, but his eyes remained steady. What is in the box? Kaelrin asked. Marcus smiled. Not a weapon, he said. Not technology. And not treasure. That only made the nobles angrier. So it is worthless, one said. Marcus shook his head. No, he replied. It is priceless. But only to the one it's meant for. Kaelrin hesitated. He could feel the pressure of expectation, of tradition, of judgment pressing down on him like armor too heavy to breathe in. His entire life had been shaped by the image of strength, of perfection, of never showing doubt. And yet, something about this ridiculous human in a Santa costume made that armor feel unnecessary. I will accept it, the prince said. Gasps echoed through the hall. The council leader's eyes narrowed. You will do so later, the leader said. In private. This court will not be turned into a theater. Marcus bowed again. Of course, he said. The gift can wait. The nobles continued to whisper, but the tone had shifted slightly. Confusion mixed with mockery. Why would a human choose the prince alone? What kind of trick was this? As guards escorted Marcus away to a waiting chamber, Prince Kaelrin watched him go. The human's steps were slow. His shoulders slumped slightly as the doors closed behind him. But there was no shame in his movement. For the first time in a long while, Kaelrin felt something unfamiliar. Curiosity. Far from the grand hall, Marcus sat alone in a small room with smooth walls and dim light. He removed the red hat and placed it on his knee. His hands rested on the small box beside him. He exhaled deeply. Hope this works, he whispered. Back in the palace halls, laughter still echoed. The nobles spoke of the human as a failure, a joke, proof that humanity did not belong among the stars. None of them noticed the way the young prince stood silently apart from the others, staring at the closed doors, his thoughts no longer fixed on power or tradition. Instead, his thoughts were on a simple box, and the strange human who believed a gift could change something far greater than politics. The waiting chamber was quiet, too quiet for a place filled with so much power just beyond its walls. Marcus sat on a low bench, the smooth metal cold even through his thick clothes. He held the small box on his lap, fingers resting gently on its edges. His red coat felt heavier now, not because of its weight, but because of the eyes that had looked at him with laughter and doubt. 2 guards stood near the door. They did not speak to him. They did not need to. Their stiff posture said everything. To them, he was a strange creature, tolerated only because protocol demanded it. Time passed slowly. In another part of the palace, Prince Kaelrin stood before the council. The nobles spoke loudly, their voices sharp with anger and pride. This human crossed boundaries, one noble said. A personal gift is a clear attempt to influence the prince. It is a childish trick, another added. A weak species trying to hide its inferiority behind stories. Kaelrin listened without speaking. His face remained calm, but inside, his thoughts were moving fast. He replayed the moment the human bowed. The way his voice never shook when he spoke of giving. The strange confidence of someone who clearly knew he would be mocked and came anyway. He did not threaten, Kael'Rin finally said. He did not demand. He offered. That is worse, the council leader replied. An unseen blade cuts deeper than an open one. Kael'Rin said nothing more. His rank allowed him silence, even when his thoughts did not match the council's anger. When the session ended, the prince walked alone through long corridors of dark crystal. Servants bowed as he passed, but none met his eyes. Leadership, he had learned, was often lonely. He stopped outside a guarded door. The human envoy, he said. The guards stiffened. He is contained, Prince. I wish to speak with him, Kael'Rin said. In private. There was a pause. Orders were checked. Protocols reviewed. Finally, the door opened. Marcus stood up slowly when the prince entered. He placed the box back on the bench and bowed, as deeply as his body allowed. Your Highness, Marcus said. Kael'Rin studied him closely now, without an audience. Without laughter filling the air. Up close, the human looked older than he had first appeared. Fine lines marked his face. His eyes carried a tired kindness, like someone who had seen much loss but chose warmth anyway. You expected this reaction? Kael'Rin asked. Marcus smiled faintly. Something like it, he said. Then why come dressed like that? The prince asked. Why present yourself in a way that invites ridicule? Is it that? Marcus thought for a moment. Because, he said slowly, if I came looking powerful, they would listen only to my power. I needed them to ignore me. Kael'Rin tilted his head. Ignore you? Yes, Marcus said, so they wouldn't notice what actually mattered. The prince's eyes narrowed. Which is? Marcus gestured gently toward the box. You. Silence filled the room. Kael'Rin felt an uncomfortable tightening in his chest. You know nothing about me. I know enough, Marcus said calmly. I know you are young. I know your people expect you to lead them into something dangerous. And I know you are surrounded by voices that do not leave room for doubt. The prince turned away sharply. Careful, human, Marcus nodded. I know, he said. That's why this gift is private. Kael'Rin took a slow breath. He reached out and picked up the box. It was light. Simple. Almost fragile. You said it was not technology, the prince said. Not treasure. That's right. Then what value does it hold? Kael'Rin asked. Marcus met his eyes. Perspective, he said. The prince opened the box. Inside was a thin, flat device and a small folded piece of paper. The device was clearly human-made, simple in design. The paper was old-fashioned, real, not a digital display. Kael'Rin picked up the paper first. It contained words, written in careful, uneven handwriting. The message was short. It spoke of pressure, of expectation, of being born into a role that others decide for you. It spoke of fear that could not be shown, and doubt that could not be spoken aloud. It ended with a single line. You are allowed to choose. Kael'Rin felt his breath catch. He did not understand how this human knew. How anyone could know. He had never said these thoughts aloud. His hands tightened slightly around the paper. What is this device? He asked quietly. Marcus stepped closer. A record, he said. Not of our victories, but of our mistakes. The prince activated it. Images filled the air between them. Human cities rising and falling. Crowds fleeing storms, fires, and broken worlds. Faces filled with fear, grief, and exhaustion. Wars that ended civilizations. Leaders who failed. Systems that collapsed. Kael'Rin's eyes widened. Why show me weakness? He demanded. Because it's honest, Marcus replied. We were never the strongest. Never the fastest. Never the most united. We almost destroyed ourselves more times than we can count. The images changed. People helping each other from ruins. Strangers sharing food. Engineers rebuilding bridges by hand. Children learning under broken roofs. Humanity standing back up, again and again. We survived, Marcus said softly. Not because we were better than everyone else, but because we learned to care. Kael'Rin watched in silence. No empire would ever show such records. Weakness was hidden, failure erased. And this, Marcus continued, is why I am here. Not to prove humans are powerful, but to show what happens when power fails. Before Kael'Rin could speak, alarms echoed faintly through the palace. The prince stiffened. That is not scheduled. The door burst open. A guard rushed in. Prince, the council chambers there is disruption. Accusations of betrayal. Kael'Rin's expression hardened. Who? The guard hesitated. Several nobles claim you are compromised by the human. They demand immediate isolation. Of both of you. Marcus let out a slow breath. That escalated quickly. Kael'Rin looked at him sharply. You knew this would happen. I suspected, Marcus said. Fear reacts faster than reason. Another alarm sounded. Closer now. The prince made a decision. Come with me, Kael'Rin said. The guards hesitated. Protocol. I am the protocol, the prince said coldly. They moved quickly through side corridors, away from the main halls. The palace no longer felt calm. Tension hummed in the air. Orders were shouted. Doors sealed and reopened. As they walked, Kael'Rin spoke quietly. Some of the council believe I am unfit to rule unless I show absolute strength. Your presence gives them an excuse. Marcus nodded. I'm sorry. Do not apologize, the prince said. You gave me something no one else ever did. What's that? Marcus asked. The prince did not answer immediately. They stopped in a secure chamber overlooking the city. Below them, lights flickered as security forces moved into position. Kael'Rin turned to Marcus. You showed me I am not alone in doubt, he said. That even strong civilizations break and survive. He straightened his posture, something shifting in his expression. That is dangerous knowledge. Marcus smiled softly. All the best knowledge is. Outside, the palace trembled with political struggle. Inside, an overweight human in a red costume stood beside an alien prince. Both knowing that laughter had already turned into fear, and fear, when challenged by truth, often made powerful enemies. The alarms did not stop. Through the darkened corridors of the Jarketh Palace, Prince Kael'Rin moved with Marcus at his side, silent and alert. Every corner held the possibility of a spy. Every shadow, a whisper of betrayal. The young prince had never felt so uncertain, yet so aware of the weight of a single choice. The human beside him, in his bright red coat and crooked hat, seemed completely calm, almost absurdly so. But there was a quiet steadiness that grounded Kael'Rin in ways his advisors never could. Do you always stay so calm? Kael'Rin asked quietly, keeping his voice low so that the approaching guards would not hear. Marcus shrugged. No, but panic never helps. Fear makes mistakes bigger than they are. Calm lets you see the path through the chaos. Kael'Rin considered this. The council had always demanded perfection. Yet it was the imperfect moments that tested true leadership. And here was a human. Someone his people thought weak and ridiculous, guiding him in ways no Jarketh mentor ever could. They reached a narrow stairwell leading to the lower administrative floors. The alarms were louder here, echoing through the metal walls. Kael'Rin signaled Marcus to stay close. Together, they moved quickly, but cautiously, toward a communications hub that would allow Kael'Rin to contact loyal palace units. Before they could reach it, the door burst open. Two armored nobles stormed in, their weapons raised. Their faces were twisted with disbelief and anger. Step aside, Prince, one of them barked. The human envoy is a threat. He must be contained. Marcus's eyes flicked to the nobles, then to Kael'Rin. I suggest we don't make them mistakes they'll regret, he said calmly. Kael'Rin's hand hovered near his belt, but he did not draw his weapon. Instead, he nodded slightly to Marcus. The human stepped forward, holding his hands in a gesture of peace. I am no threat, Marcus said. I'm simply here to show you what happens when fear controls your decisions." The nobles laughed, a short, harsh sound. One lunged forward, attempting to strike Marcus. The human did not move quickly. His body was not built for speed, but he did something unexpected. He caught the attacker's wrist with both hands, twisting it gently but firmly. The noble howled in pain, dropping his weapon. Marcus released him, stepping back, and the noble fell to the floor. Unable to move his arm, Kael'Rin blinked. This human was not strong in the way the Jarketh defined strength. Yet he controlled the situation with skill and timing. It was a type of power that relied on understanding, not muscles. "Stay behind me," Kael'Rin said, moving past the stunned nobles. Marcus followed, their silent coordination almost instinctive. They reached the communications hub. Marcus pushed a small panel open, revealing the interface. "This is simple technology," he said, "but it works. You can reach allies without using the main channels, which are likely compromised." Kael'Rin nodded, tapping the controls. A list of loyal units appeared. He selected the trusted officers, sending a secure signal. Moments later, confirmations came back. The prince's loyal guards would move to intercept the rebels in the council. As they waited, Marcus opened the small box he had brought, taking out the device once more. He handed it to Kael'Rin. "Keep this with you," he said. "It will help you remember what matters." Leadership is not about intimidation or perfection. It's about understanding your people and yourself. Kael'Rin studied the device. It was simple, almost primitive, yet it contained countless recordings of human history. Images of resilience, cooperation, and courage against overwhelming odds. The prince felt the weight of those lessons. His empire, so focused on perfection and strength, had never considered the power of compassion and ingenuity. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside. Kael'Rin's guards were arriving, but so were more of the hostile nobles. The prince turned to Marcus. "They'll come in numbers," he said. Marcus nodded. "Then, we make them underestimate us. Let them think the human is weak, and you will appear to act alone. They will misjudge every move." Kael'Rin followed his advice. He stepped out into the corridor, walking slowly, deliberately, with Marcus slightly behind him. The nobles charged, expecting to overwhelm them quickly. But Marcus was ready. He used the narrow hallway to control their movements, guiding attackers past each other, slowing their advance. Kael'Rin, moving confidently, struck precise points, disabling but not killing. Together, they moved like a single unit. The palace was chaos, but not uncontrolled. Every step Marcus took, every piece of advice, he whispered, allowed Kael'Rin to turn the attack to his advantage. Guards loyal to the prince emerged, catching the rebels off guard. Within minutes, the majority of the hostile nobles were contained. Kael'Rin stood at the top of the stairwell, breathing hard, his eyes on Marcus. "You've changed the outcome," he said. Marcus smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "I only showed what could happen when someone underestimated us." The prince looked down at the captured nobles, realizing that strength was not always physical, and wisdom was often more powerful than fear. Marcus had shown him that. Once the palace was secure, Kael'Rin called for a private audience with the council, leaving Marcus waiting outside. The prince's mind raced as he considered his next steps. He would not simply follow tradition. He had seen the human's courage, his insight, his ability to act calmly under pressure. The lessons from Earth could guide the Empire in ways it had never imagined. When Kael'Rin returned to the room where Marcus waited, he did not speak immediately. He simply looked at the human, taking in the red coat, the white beard, and the calm expression that seemed almost absurd after the chaos. "You've done something remarkable," Kael'Rin finally said. "You've shown me that leadership is not about appearances or fear. It's about understanding and courage in ways that others cannot see." Marcus shook his head. "I only do what any human might do in the right moment." Kael'Rin smiled faintly. "No, not any human. You acted when others would have faltered. You were willing to face judgment, ridicule, and danger. That is rare. The prince stepped closer, holding the box Marcus had brought. And this gift, I understand it now. It's not the device. It's the message. It's permission. Permission to be more than what others demand of me. Permission to lead differently. Marcus nodded. Exactly. You can decide what kind of ruler you want to be, not what they say you must be. Kael Rin looked out the window at the city below, lights flickering as loyal forces took control. He could feel the weight of responsibility, but also something new. Clarity. The human had done more than survive ridicule. He had illuminated a path forward. Your people will not accept this easily, Kael Rin said. The council. They will resist change. Marcus smiled. Then you show them. Not with words, but with action. Lead with what they cannot see. Honesty, courage, and compassion. The prince took a deep breath. I think I understand. Marcus's eyes twinkled. Good. That's all I ask. Hours passed as the palace settled. The rebellious nobles were held in secure areas, and loyal officers ensured stability. Marcus and Kael Rin spoke quietly, discussing strategies for the future, ways to guide the empire without losing sight of what truly mattered. Marcus told stories of human history, of cities rebuilt after disasters, communities coming together despite fear, and ordinary people performing extraordinary acts. Kael Rin listened, absorbing the lessons not as tales, but as tools for leadership. At one point, Kael Rin laughed softly. You really do believe humans can change the galaxy with a smile and a story? Marcus shrugged. It has worked for us many times. Maybe it can work for others too. The prince looked at him, realization settling in. I underestimated you. All of you. Marcus grinned. And now, you see the gift. Kael Rin held the device again, turning it over in his hands. This is more than a present. It's a mirror. It shows me who I can be, not who they say I must be. Marcus nodded. Exactly. And you are free to choose that path. Outside the room, the palace hummed with new order. The council would need time to adjust, but Kael Rin felt ready. Not because he had power, not because he had weapons, but because he understood what it truly meant to lead. He turned to Marcus. You've given me more than guidance. You've given me the courage to act as myself, not as others demand. Marcus smiled faintly. That is the best gift I could hope to give. The prince extended his hand. Marcus hesitated for a moment, then shook it firmly. It was a gesture of respect, of trust, of understanding. The human envoy, laughed at, underestimated, mocked by an empire, had become something more than anyone expected, and the prince, once weighed down by tradition and expectation, had found a new way forward. Outside the chamber, the city remained alive, unaware of the subtle revolution that had begun. Not with fire, not with weapons, but with insight, courage, and an overweight human in a red coat, who reminded the galaxy that true strength often comes from unexpected places. And somewhere in the back of Kael Rin's mind, he knew this was only the beginning. The gift had been received, the lesson understood, and the path forward was clear. Together, they would face the challenges ahead, and humanity's quiet, steadfast way of facing the impossible would guide an empire toward something greater than fear, greater than power, and far stronger than ridicule alone. Kael Rin looked at Marcus one last time that night. You have changed more than my perspective, he said softly. You have changed the future. Marcus simply smiled. The red coat slightly rumpled, the crooked hat sitting comfortably. Then my mission is complete, he said. The two stood in silence for a moment, looking out at the city lights below, knowing that tomorrow, the empire would face a new dawn, and the human gift would be at the heart of it. The sun rose slowly over the Jarketh capital, casting pale light on the crystal towers that pierced the sky. For most of the city, the morning was ordinary, routine. Citizens moved along their walkways, servants prepared the grand halls, and traders opened their stalls. Yet within the palace, the world had shifted in ways invisible to everyone outside the walls. Prince Kael'Rin stood in his private chamber, the small device Marcus had brought resting on the table beside him. His eyes were steady now, no longer clouded by doubt or fear. He had spent the night reviewing the recordings of humanity's history, absorbing lessons of resilience, cooperation, and moral courage. Each story reminded him that power was not always in strength, that leadership required vision beyond control or intimidation. The palace corridors were quiet as Kael'Rin walked toward the council chamber. The nobles had been confined for security and investigation, their anger simmering but powerless for the moment. Today, he would speak, and he would act. Marcus followed silently, his red coat rumpled from the previous night's chaos, the white beard slightly smudged. Yet his calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the tension of the palace. Kael'Rin could not help but marvel at the human's presence. Even after the chaos, Marcus exuded assurance without arrogance. "We need to show them," Kael'Rin said quietly. "Not just tell them. Show them what leadership can be." Marcus nodded. "Actions speak louder than words. Humans understand that well. Even when others refuse to see." They entered the council chamber. The nobles rose immediately, their expressions a mixture of indignation and fear. The room, which yesterday had been filled with laughter and mockery directed at Marcus, now seemed smaller, constrained by uncertainty. Kael'Rin's presence alone altered the balance of power. "Prince Kael'Rin," the council leader said sharply, "you have defied protocol. You have endangered the Empire by allowing this human to guide your decisions." Kael'Rin's eyes were steady. "I have not defied the Empire. I have defended it. And I have learned something you seem to have forgotten. Leadership is not about fear or perfection. It is about seeing clearly and choosing wisely." A murmur ran through the council. Some of the younger nobles exchanged uneasy glances. They had never seen their prince speak with such confidence. With such clarity, Marcus stepped forward, placing the box gently on the central table. "You doubted humanity," he said, voice calm but firm. "You laughed at what you did not understand. But the gift I bring is simple. Perspective. The ability to see weakness, not as failure, but as opportunity. To see courage not only in muscle, but in the mind and heart." The council shifted uncomfortably. Marcus was not threatening, yet his words carried undeniable weight. The human who had been ridiculed hours before now held the attention of every noble in the room. Kael'Rin gestured toward Marcus. "This human has taught me that leadership is not inherited. It is earned, every day, through choices and actions. And today, I choose to lead in a way our empire has never seen." Some nobles whispered angrily, but Kael'Rin raised his hand. Silence fell. "We will no longer measure strength by appearances alone. We will no longer honor tradition over justice. We will not rule by fear. From this day forward, the empire will be guided by wisdom, compassion, and courage." The chamber trembled with disbelief. For generations, the Jarketh had measured power through dominance, perfection, and intimidation. Kael'Rin's declaration was not only bold, it was revolutionary. Marcus smiled faintly. "Actions will reinforce your words," he said. "Words alone are powerless." Kael'Rin nodded. "Then we act. Loyal units are already securing the city. Corrupt nobles are contained. But our empire is more than buildings and armies. It is people. And people will follow what they understand, not what they fear." The council leader's eyes narrowed. "And if they resist?" Kael'Rin leaned forward, his voice steady. "Then we lead by example. Show them that even those they think weak, even those they think foolish, can hold the key to survival and growth." Outside the palace, Kael'Rin and Marcus oversaw the first demonstrations of the new doctrine. Loyal forces guided citizens, repaired infrastructure, and ensured safety without using intimidation. The Empire's citizens noticed the change immediately. Orders were no longer barked. Guidance was offered. Fear began to lose its grip. At midday, Kael'Rin returned to the council chamber. The nobles were seated, silent, waiting. Their expressions were uneasy, their pride bruised. Marcus remained at Caelryn's side, calm and observant. "Prince," the council leader said cautiously, "your actions have surprised us. The city is secure. But what of perception? Our traditions, our hierarchy, will not accept this easily." Caelryn looked directly at him. "Then, let them see. Let them witness that leadership can be strong without cruelty, respected without intimidation. We will build a new tradition, one that honors life, wisdom, and courage above all else." He turned to Marcus. "Your gift was more than a device or words. It was a reminder that even the weakest or most ridiculed among us can inspire change. You have shown me that." Marcus shrugged lightly. "I only did what humans often do. Persist, even when underestimated. Give without expecting reward. Act when others hesitate. That is enough to change the course of events." Caelryn smiled. "More than enough." Over the next hours, the prince led a series of meetings with city officials, demonstrating the new approach. He listened more than he spoke, asked questions, and made decisions based on insight rather than hierarchy. The nobles who opposed him began to see the results. Loyalty and respect grew faster than fear ever could. When evening fell, Caelryn returned to his private chamber. Marcus sat quietly by the window, watching the city lights flicker. The chaos of the previous day was gone. In its place was calm, not perfect, but alive. "You have done something remarkable," Caelryn said. "The Empire will not forget this day, nor your gift." Marcus smiled. "Perhaps it is not I who gave the gift, but humanity itself. The willingness to persist, to care, to act despite doubt or ridicule. That is the true gift." Caelryn considered this. He had spent his life learning rules and expectations, thinking leadership was about control. Now he understood that true leadership was about understanding, empathy, and courage. The courage to act rightly, even when others mocked or feared you. He extended his hand. Marcus shook it firmly, their eyes meeting. In that simple gesture, years of expectation, ridicule, and doubt dissolved. A new bond had formed, not of race, rank, or power, but of respect and shared purpose. The next morning, Caelryn held a public address in the palace square. Citizens gathered, curious about their young prince's words. Marcus stood nearby, not as a figure of ridicule this time, but as a symbol of the unexpected wisdom that had guided the prince. Caelryn spoke clearly, directly, and with authority that did not rely on fear. He spoke of courage, empathy, and unity. He spoke of leadership as responsibility, not domination. The citizens listened, captivated not by promises of power, but by the vision of a brighter future. Even the nobles could not ignore the shift. Their laughter had vanished, replaced by cautious respect. They realized that the human who had been mocked was not weak, and the prince who had been pressured by tradition was no longer afraid to act according to his own insight. Days turned into weeks. Marcus remained a guest of honor, guiding Caelryn as needed, but more importantly, inspiring him to trust his own judgment. The prince implemented policies based on cooperation, fairness, and strategic intelligence, rather than brute strength. Slowly, the empire's culture began to shift. Caelryn often reflected on the lesson Marcus had brought, that being underestimated was not a weakness, but an opportunity. The human had shown that courage could come in unexpected forms, and that leadership was strengthened by understanding, not fear. One evening, as the sun set over the crystal towers, Caelryn and Marcus stood together overlooking the city. The air was cool, carrying a hint of the alien world's metallic scent mixed with the faint warmth of sunlight. "You have given more than advice," Caelryn said softly. "You have changed the way I see the Empire, and perhaps even the universe." Marcus tilted his head, smiling. "I only showed what was possible. The rest comes from you." The prince nodded. "Then I will continue what you started. And I will remember that even the smallest act, an honest word, a simple gift, a choice to act rightly, can change everything. Marcus's eyes twinkled. Then my mission is complete. The laughter that greeted me first, it no longer matters. What matters is what comes next. Kale Rin smiled, feeling a sense of peace he had never known. The city was safe, the council subdued but aware, and the people had begun to trust their leadership in a new way. Change was never easy, but the first step had been taken. The human envoy, laughed at, underestimated, and mocked, had left a mark far deeper than anyone had imagined. Not by force, not by weapons, but by courage, insight, and the quiet power of giving without expectation. Kale Rin looked at Marcus, the red coat now clean but still bright against the pale light. "You have shown me the meaning of true strength," he said. "It is not in size, not in perfection, and not in fear. It is in courage, wisdom, and kindness." Marcus nodded. "That is what humans try to teach each other. Every day. And now, it seems, the lesson has reached a new world." Together, they watched as the city shimmered under the twin moons, the crystal towers reflecting light like tiny beacons of hope. The empire was still large, still full of challenges, but for the first time, Kale Rin felt confident that it could face the future. He turned to Marcus, offering a small, genuine smile. "Your gift, it was the best anyone could give." Marcus laughed softly. "Then, the human mission is complete. And perhaps the Empire is ready to give its own gift in return. Hope, courage, and the chance to lead differently." The two stood in silence, the hum of the city beneath them, knowing that change had begun, not through fear, not through power, not through mockery or ridicule, but through the quiet, steady, and unassuming strength of a human who had dared to give the right gift to the right person at the right time. And somewhere deep within Kale Rin, he knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would grow stronger, not through perfection, but through understanding, not through fear, but through courage, and not through mockery, but through respect. The human had laughed at the impossible, and now the Empire would follow. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the crystal towers. The city below glowed, alive with possibility. Kale Rin and Marcus turned away from the window, ready to face whatever came next. And as they walked down the quiet corridors together, the prince carried with him the knowledge that the smallest gift, given with honesty and courage, could change not just one life, but the course of an entire empire. The galaxy had laughed at humanity. Now, it would learn to listen.